All right, greetings. Check 1 2 1 2. Check 1 2 1 2. Greetings, family. Greetings. All right, let me see. All right, this thing is looking kind of bony right now. Hold on for a second. That's a little bit better. Tag. For real. Da, 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 da. All right, greetings, family. It's Professor Griff, and of course, this is Black Power Media Reloaded. All right, shout out to Kalanji, shout out to the staff at Black Power Media Reloaded for keeping this thing locked and loaded. This is your host of the Masses, Professor Griff. All right. Ice Cube made a statement, and I think it was the nigga you love to hate. Yeah. Ice Cube. Shout out to Ice Cube. Ice Cube, I might want to flip that, man. I think I'm the nigga they hate to love, man. Because it's almost like when you are speaking the truth, you got to own every aspect of it. But the sad part about speaking lies, it just seems like nowadays, yeah, people just give you a pass. You could be a traitor. You could be an imp. Your ass could just do whatever you want to do to black people. And because you make a cute little song, black people, it seemed like, especially the ignorant masses of black people, will celebrate you. A small portion of these so-called conscious Negroes will celebrate you. And that is sad. And then the rest of them expect your ass to just be quiet and suffer in silence. I'm here to serve notice today. That will not be me. I'm not going to sit back and just suffer in silence while people are dying. Our people are dying. That's just not going to happen. So you make your decision whether or not if you want to rock with Professor Griff or not. And if you don't, by all means, be gone. I am not sitting back and being quiet and watch our people die and act like everything is just everything and then waiting on my turn to die or getting nailed to the cross. That's not going to happen. Nope. Shout out to the Serious Minds listeners. Shout out to everyone that's tuned in to your duty and your responsibility of arming the masses. Randall Anderson, a.k.a. DJ Bucket Naked, thank you very much. Right, because you know I rock with you. I'm not going to sit idly by and be quiet. So if you want to praise and glorify and uplift our traders, those that are selling us out right in real time. These people are selling us out in real time, and you expect me to be quiet? Not going to do that, man. Nope. While you sit back with the truth right on your tongue, and almost like, you know, when you're about to throw up, but you can't, and you know about your food about to come up, but you try to muster those enzymes to push it back down, to digest it, and you get ulcers because of it, because you can't speak up about some things because of what? No, I told y'all last week, I'm coming in the vein of Fela and the rest of them speaking up, because I see how they're trying to use our music as a weapon, and you allowing them to. Shout out to Be Light. Thank you very much. All right. Give thanks. So we're going to do a check-in real quick, and we're going to dive into this subject. By the way, we're going to talk about this puppet and these puppets. And these only just the kind of a face of the puppeteering that's going on, not in music, but in culture and in the arts and in, what's going on with just because you do music, you have to be quiet because you're trying to get some white people to hire you to do some things. Nah. That is sad. Sad. All right. Let's do the check-in and see who's checking in and where you checking in from. All right. I'm checking in. All right. From Sirius B. All right. The Dog Star. The God Star. All right. That's where I'm checking in from. All right. Where you checking in from? Akita Great, thank you very much. You said, what's going on? Ask Marvin Gaye, what's going on? All right. What's good? Enemy's public salute, man. All right. You got people claiming to be revolutionaries and claiming to be soldiers and never knew what it was like to be in anybody's military, anybody's army. All right. Milton from Rotterdam, Netherlands. All right. Peace. All right. So today we're going to be talking about Michael Langley, a United States AFRICOM commander who's being used because he has black skin to come against those individuals that dare to stand up in Africa, in the Sahel region, in the Sahel countries in Africa, to stand up to claim their sovereignty. All right. The pie man. Walaikum salam. What's good with you? Smarty Jones checking in from the main line in PA. All right. A brother from Houston is checking in. BB girl from Connecticut. Peace. What's good with you? A lot of y'all have gotten really soft and really weak simply because you look at some of these individuals like Michael Langley and rap hip hop's Michael Langley, Chuck Flea. Y'all look at these people, man. It's for some strange reason the truth gets caught in y'all's throat. Sly from Sly and the Family Stone was my dude. You couldn't tell me nothing about Sly and the Family Stone until I started looking into and watching this man on TV and listening to what he's really saying. And then when I saw him sit down with Muhammad Ali on a white television show and come off like an absolute clown, a buffoon, I was like, wow, Sly. It changed my whole perception of who this individual is. So I just started liking the music. That was it. And then it was hard for me to separate the music from the individual. And it was like, wow, this is who you really are, bro. You don't mean no good for black people. Philly in the building as always. All right. Man. Anyway, family, let's dive into this subject, man. Hold on for a second. We might have to reboot this thing, man. This thing is showing something ugly, Kalanji. Oh no, Kalanji. Hold on for a second, fam. I don't know. Too late to reboot it. He's showing me some crazy stuff. Anyway, all right, let's dive into this real quick. I don't even want to be long. All right. Shout out to everyone that's out there. And if you don't know, this weekend, of course, is the Soul Cinema Sundays. All right. Please check out the Soul Cinema Sundays. All right. I'm practically twisting y'all's arm to force y'all to go over here to see that joint, because woo wee. If it's not something simple that we need to do, it's just do a basic bold face in your face kind of flyer and say, yo, check it out for real. All right. Make it happen. Damn. For real, for somebody's reason. Yeah. All right. Hold on. I'm going to take my banner down. Hold on. Let me see if I can do this. All right. Nope. We're going to leave it up like that. And I'm going to do this here. All right. I'm on. Everything is right. I'm seeing it right. But all right, cool. All right, family. Let's do this. All right. So today we're talking about puppets. We're talking about the idea of someone being controlled. All right. Someone being controlled by an outside entity or outside force. I know y'all's about to say, Griff, you was about to give us the Soul Cinema Sundays. All right. Now, you see, it would have been dope if the Soul Cinema Sundays would have been a big, bold flyer in my phone where I could just go to it, pull it up, and look at it. All right. With the phone number on it, everything, giving you the URL on where to go. All right. With the address and everything, bold, not something I got to go hectically try to go find or whatever. Soul Cinema Sundays at the Plaza Theater. All right. This Sunday, it's Watt Stacks. I'm sure you've seen Watt Stacks, but if you haven't, you need to see Watt Stacks. Public Enemy has pulled so many samples from that particular film and that soundtrack. It is ridiculous. Celebrating Black Music Month, Sunday, June 8th, 2025, 4 p.m. Doors open up at 3:15. All right. Watt Stacks is the next film that they're showing at Soul Cinema Sunday. All right. Yeah, this is ugly. All right. Just Google Soul Cinema Sunday, family. All right. Information will come up. Anyway, in the meantime, between time, let's do this. I did manage to pull down a very interesting kind of YouTube clip. And these people over here at Black Culture Diary, they definitely doing the damn thing. I gotta take my hat off to them. They making it happen over there.
Absolutely, Chairman.
Right,
I see this, and I don't mind calling them out, but Captain Traoré and Burkina Faso, as they know that both, whether it's their gold reserves, that is all those proceeds are just in exchange to protect the junta regime. There's a number of examples across. Even in Sudan, what's going on with the rapid support forces and Burhan of the Sudan forces, when you get down to it, is all about the revenue that can be drawn out of that. And there are nefarious actors in the CCP or in sometimes Russia are complicit in those activities.
Okay, well, you can't imagine how frustrating it seems to me that this mineral-rich continent has not been able to.
U.S. General Michael Langley landed quietly in Kenya. By sunset, protests had erupted across Africa. Elders in Senegal denounced him, and social media burned with rage. What did he say? Who did he threaten? And why did the entire continent rise in defense of one man? Let's find out. The streets of Nairobi have seen their fair share of protests, but what unfolded on that humid morning in May 2025 felt different. It wasn't just the signs, the chants, or the sheer energy pulsing through the crowds. It was the tone.
All right, let me lay something out real quick. So, Michael Langley, his accusations against Ibrahim Traoré, a flashpoint in Africa's struggle for sovereignty. Not only Ibrahim Traoré, but the brothers and those who rule in Mali, Nigeria, Guinea, Chad, Tanzania, and there's another one another country, Botswana, I believe, that's really changing its culture, not cultural, but political direction and how they're going to govern themselves as a sovereign country. So now, of course, y'all should already know, and this is coming from by Mr. Fortune Madundo. All right. Now, Michael Langley, he's a 6th commander of the United States AFRICOM, African Command, AFRICOM. I talked about AFRICOM years and years and years ago under the Obama administration. And he is a 4-star, he's a black 4-star general of the United States Marine Corps, having been promoted to that position on October 6th. You ask, what is AFRICOM? AFRICOM is one of the 7 U.S. geographic combatant commands responsible for military engagement across 53 African nations, except Egypt. All right. Working with partners and allies, the command counters different actors. And they call them actors, not Professor Griff. But in most cases, these are people that they've installed in certain places in Africa to rule over Africa's riches, but controlled by France, Britain, America, and Israel. All right. So Michael Langley's visit to the Ivory Coast comes right after those particular statements that you've just heard. All right. Now, Michael Langley landed in Kenya. And I think what he's doing is trying to go from country to country that will allow him and it will invite America, Britain, Israel, and France in to kind of assure their foothold in these particular places, simply because there's military bases set up in these particular countries. Well, the Sahel region have kicked these individuals out and says, no, we're going to be responsible for our own sovereignty. Let's pick up where we left off. I was going to do a 2-part talk today in reference to the 100 years of Trump being in office, but that's mute in reference to what we have to talk about in reference to claiming our own sovereignty and connecting with those individuals, those revolutionary forces in and outside of America. All right. And revolution only means complete constructive conscious cosmic change. If you're not in line with that and you want to set yourself up in opposition to that energy, then stop calling yourself a revolutionary. I don't care if it's in the music industry or in the goddamn Boy Scouts.
There was anger, yes, but beneath it, something more dangerous: betrayal. Only 24 hours earlier, U.S. General Michael Langley had stepped off a military jet onto Kenyan soil, his visit announced in soft diplomatic language. On paper, he was here for a routine summit, another high-level defense conference designed to affirm the U.S.-Kenya military ties. Nairobi had hosted dozens of such visits over the years, but this time the welcome mat caught fire. Protesters flooded the streets outside the venue before Langley even made his opening remarks. Kenyan police, caught off guard by the speed and coordination of the demonstrations, scrambled to contain the crowds. Placards.
See, this is what I mean by the people's power. All power to all the people. All right. In a moment's notice, people took to the streets because we know what's good for our sovereignty. We know what's good for us as a people moving forward. It don't take you 6 months to put something together to make it happen. They put this together in about 6 hours. All right? That's how we need to move.
Read, Africa is not your base. Langley, who sent you?
Who sent you, Langley? Africa is not your base. It's not for you to just come there and do what you want to. And then as you extract the riches from Africa, the people on the ground in Africa suffer.
Placement, and we stand with Traoré. But what startled even seasoned observers wasn't the anger. It was the coordination. Within hours, solidarity marches erupted in Kampala, Dar es Salaam, and even as far as Freetown. Something had shifted. Because Langley's visit wasn't happening in a vacuum. It was happening in a year when Africa's political soul was under negotiation, when old alliances were cracking, and new ones were being forged with quiet defiance. And whether he knew it or not, Langley had become the symbol of everything many Africans were rejecting. To understand the uproar, one has to look at the optics. On one side, an aging Western general in polished boots and a pressed uniform, flown in to discuss regional security frameworks.
So they choose this black man to come in, but because he's risen to the ranks of general in the United States military, they choose him to come in, put him over AFRICOM. They bring him in to fly him into countries while he's in the ivory towers, sitting with dignitaries, sitting with people that they've installed and running the country, while the people, as always, are revolting in the streets. This same dynamic is being played out over and over and over again in African countries throughout the years. But the people are tired of this.
On the other hand, a continent weary of being told how to run its affairs, still nursing open wounds from decades of interference, coups, and conditional aid. In the minds of many young Africans, Langley didn't arrive as a diplomat. He arrived as a ghost from the past, and the venue didn't help. The defense summit was held in a luxury hotel draped in American and Kenyan flags, guarded by local police and U.S. Marines in plain sight. Outside, youth leaders and Pan-African groups held
Outside, youth leaders with megaphones and Pan-Africanist organizations and organizations on a grassroots level coming together. All right? Because we see something that's common in our struggle for liberation, freedom, and sovereignty. We see something that's common. Traitors like Michael Langley or Chuck Langley are constantly selling out our people.
Megaphones and demanded answers. We're not against Kenya, one speaker shouted. We're against puppets who allow our continent to be used like a military chessboard.
We are against puppets. We are against puppets. We are against puppets that think that they can come in and use Africa and use our riches and use our natural minerals and resources like puppets do. They're controlled by their puppet masters, and they're used to come in to use Africa as a landing pad. All right? Which is sad. Let's play that again.
Outside, youth leaders and Pan-African groups held megaphones and demanded answers. We're not against Kenya, one speaker shouted. We're against puppets who allow our continent to be used like a military chessboard. What stung most for many wasn't just Langley's presence. It was Kenya's silence. No strong statements distancing itself from his previous remarks, no attempt to clarify Nairobi's position. In a year where Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger had declared a bold realignment away from Western powers, Kenya's willingness to host Langley without hesitation looked like a betrayal. A sharp contrast, a line in the sand. And then came the graffiti. The phrase, "Nairobi is not AFRICOM HQ," was painted in red across 2 government walls downtown. Photos went viral within minutes. Artists began projecting digital billboards with phrases like, "Langley brings war, not peace."
Langley brings war, not peace. Langley brings war, not peace. Why isn't that in a rap song? Why isn't that in a hip hop song? Oh, I forgot. We can't use hip hop as a tool for revolution anymore, right, Chuck Flea?
Within a day, Pan-African influencers across platforms were echoing the same sentiment. This wasn't just a diplomatic visit. This was an attempt to reassert control, dressed up in security talk. And Langley? He remained largely silent during the early uproar. His opening statement at the summit focused on shared counterinsurgency efforts and stability partnerships, delivered in the same language U.S. envoys have used for decades. It was clear he didn't get it. Or worse, he didn't want to get it.
Langley did not want to get it. When you align yourself with these people and you end up on their payroll, all right, yeah, who pays the piper calls the tune. Understand this. He who pays the piper calls the tune. So when you take our best minds, all right, shift the slate, the palette, the plate from under them, culturally speaking, yeah, you never, ever get them in a position to speak for us. Even with their jobs at the State Department and other places as cultural this and ambassador that and global this. When do you ever speak for us? When do you ever speak for the people? When do you ever speak for the people? When do you ever speak for the young and the youth in Kenya, in Burkina Faso, in Mali, in Nigeria? We don't ever hear from you after that.
Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. Behind the scenes, some Kenyan officials expressed discomfort. A leaked memo later revealed that at least 2 senior advisors warned against hosting Langley so soon after his inflammatory remarks about Burkina Faso. But the meeting went ahead anyway. An act seen by many as Nairobi placing defense contracts over dignity.
Defense contracts over dignity. Your contract with the State Department over dignity. Over the history, the legacy of not only Public Enemy, but what Public Enemy means inside of the context of our culture, especially musical legacy. What does that even mean to you? But you get a paycheck. And then you come and you say that, you know, you can't even use hip hop anymore to free the hearts and minds of our people, to help raise the conscious level and the political awareness of young people, not only in America, but throughout the world. Shame on you. And shame on any of you that take that position or even side with these imps against our people.
The backlash wasn't orchestrated by governments. It came from the streets.
It came from the streets. And what did they say in a private meeting with Israelis' top officials in America? The only thing that's going to disrupt their plans is young Black people in the streets of America and throughout the world. Raise your voices as you raise your fists, brothers and sisters. And we need to speak. We need to speak with a loud voice to these imps that sell us out. And we will.
From students, artists, elders, even from
students, artists, and elders.
Former Kenyan diplomats who spoke out publicly for the first time. The noise was organic, fierce, and it wasn't just aimed at Langley, it was a message to the West. Africa is watching. And as the chants echoed through Nairobi and beyond, one name kept returning to the center of the storm. Not Langley, not Trump, not Ruto, but Traoré.
Raise your voice, support this brother right here, because I see myself in him and him in myself. You should see him in yourself. Now is the time for us to stand up. If you never did anything else in your life, use that $400-500 cell phone that you have and let that be your tool as a weapon. As Chuck Flea said, it's a gadget. And if we all have gadgets, okay, let's put our gadgets together and use them as a media source to reach the hearts and minds of our people. What's wrong with that? Let's use it.
Because if Langley's arrival cracked open a wound, it was his attack on Traoré that poured in the salt.
That's what set it off. Michael Langley's attack on Ibrahim Traoré, which was attack on all of us. You touch one, you touch all.
The protests weren't just reactive, they were protective. Africans weren't just angry that a general had landed. They were furious that someone had tried to publicly smear the man many saw as Africa's new vanguard. And so,
if you're just tuning in, we're watching, go to Black Culture Diary channel on YouTube. General Langley visitation to Kenya sparks African public. All right.
Protests gained momentum. The continent remembered the words, the accusation, the gold, which leads to the real catalyst behind the rage. Langley's very public war of words with Captain Ibrahim Traoré. The protests didn't erupt merely because a US general came to town. They exploded because that general had done something deeper, something that scratched at the soul of an entire continent. He attacked the wrong man at the wrong moment, using the wrong language.
He attacked the wrong man at the wrong moment, using the wrong language, and it ignited people, Black people, and the Black African diaspora. It ignited us and brought us together like unseen in a long, long time. But because of these gadgets, but because of what we've been doing in the digital African grapevine, what we've been talking about for a long time is now right in front of your face. And of course, it's going to bring out the Uncle Toms. Of course, it's going to bring out all those that side with the colonizers against our people. But this is your time where you're going to be called to the crossroads to see where you stand on this. Y'all already know where the hell I stand.
Captain Ibrahim Traoré isn't just the leader of Burkina Faso. He is, to millions across Africa, a symbol of modern resistance. Young, military-trained, and unafraid of confrontation, Traoré represents a political force that refuses to bow, especially not to former colonial powers or their modern emissaries. And it was this force that General Michael Langley attempted to publicly dismantle from a Senate hearing room in Washington, D.C., long before he ever set foot in Nairobi.
Wow. A Senate hearing room in Washington, D.C. You see, this is where they get together in the Capitol, the White House, the State Department. I am telling you, you could take this clip right here and you could substitute Michael Langley's name with Chuck D. All right. And you will get the same kind of sellout, the same kind of puppet. And I know some of y'all are saying, wow, for real? Yeah. Y'all got this soft heart because of some songs, but y'all not looking at the reality of it. Even some people that I know are sitting back saying, damn, I can't believe it. Well, why not? Who do you think the sellouts are going to be? Who do you think the traitors are going to be?
In that now infamous testimony, Langley didn't mince words. Captain Traoré is using Burkina Faso's national gold reserves, he said, not for the people, but to fortify his junta. It was a sentence spoken with bureaucratic precision, but it landed across Africa like a bomb. To the US Congress, it may have sounded like strategic analysis, but to Africans, especially the youth and the politically conscious, it was yet another Western official implying that Africans were unfit to control their wealth, especially the kind that glitters. It wasn't just about Traoré, it was about gold, and that made it about history. For over a century, Africa's gold mines have glittered for foreign empires, British, French, Belgian, and later multinational corporations with no flag but unlimited reach. Burkina Faso itself, though poor by GDP standards, sits atop rich gold deposits that have long been siphoned through foreign-run operations, offering local communities little more than pollution and empty promises. When Traoré came to power, he began reshaping that equation. His transitional government seized control of parts of the gold industry, sidelined corrupt intermediaries, and started redirecting earnings toward military restructuring and local infrastructure. To the US, that looked like an autocracy. To Africans, it looked like sovereignty.
To Africans, it looked like sovereignty. To Africans, it looked like sovereignty. To take and be responsible for your own, feeding your own self and your own people. They've been talking about Africa too long. They have written Burkina Faso off as one of the poorest places in Africa. And for this brother to come along and turn Burkina Faso around overnight in a few years, other people are asking their governments to do the same thing. And some governments are. To stop signing away your land rights and your natural resources away to foreign entities. All right, this is very important. Very, very, very important. So if you see the QR code on the screen, scan that QR code. I am doing an entire course on the psychological covert war on hip hop as I lead to the psychological covert war on hip hop book 3. All right. The entire course. All right. Of course, you can go to my website, www.warriorsinthegarden.org. All right. Or just go to publicmme.me. The course is there. Sign up for the course today. Get in where you fit in, fam. It's the psychological covert war on hip hop 6-week course. All right. Six-week course. All right. Starting in a few weeks. So we need y'all to get in now, fam. All right. And every Q&A after every week, I'm going to break down this thing that's going on with Puffy, not only with Puffy, but throughout the music industry. And some things are real quiet. Some things are being just kept quiet for a reason. All right, go to www.warriorsinthegarden.org. All right. Okay, if you need more info, of course, I'm going to put my phone number in, 678-557-2919. All right, 678-557-2919. The Psychological Covert War on Hip Hop, 6 weeks course. All right, we're going to go back through all of this. We're going to do updated information as we lead to book 3. Shout out to my good brother, Black Dot, who just released his book. I can't show you the whole advertising, but this is Black Dot's book. All right. The Hero's Journey. Gotta laugh to keep from crying. All right. Go support Black Dot's book. Purchase his book. But please, fam, get in the course. All right. We're going to do a breakdown of the Puppy trial. We're going to do the breakdown what led up to that. All right. After every class for the next 6 weeks. All right. Let's get back to this. I wanted to take that break so everyone can breathe in case you had some questions. All right. All right, I'm looking for the questions. No questions, no comments. Charles Wilson says all kinfolk, skinfolk, and kinfolk. Master Lee, thank you very much for telling the truth. Boom, I don't know what you meant by that. Obviously, you haven't been listening to me for years to make a statement like that. I'm cool with anybody that's cool with our people. But when you start working with the State Department against our people, no, we're not going to be cool. Including you, Boom. You start working with the State Department and making crazy, outlandish, aligning yourself with Bernie Sanders and Laya Cohen and Anthony Blinken and all these other people. Me and you ain't going to be cool. That's right. Just leave the African continent, plain it simple. Sylvia, thank you very much. Exactly. All right. If anybody cares to notice, I'll be on the Carl Nelson Show Wednesday morning. Hopefully, y'all can tune in on the Carl Nelson Show Wednesday morning, and we're going to be breaking down and talking about the state of Black music. If you have anything that you would like for me to cover in that conversation, because I've been studying Black music for a while, we keep our finger on the pulse of what's going on with Black music. So, so shout out to Carl Nelson and the Carl Nelson's Show. All right, let's get back to this though. All right. Let's go.
Langley's remarks, therefore, were never heard in isolation. They were absorbed through a filter of memory. The memory of how Western powers have historically discredited African leaders who nationalize resources. Lumumba in Congo, Sankara in Burkina Faso, Gaddafi in Libya. The same script, it seemed, was playing again. A Western general, fluent in sanitized language, accusing an African leader of mismanaging national wealth, all while ignoring the foreign-backed systems that had long drained those same resources with barely a whisper of accountability. But Traoré's supporters didn't just hear the words, they weaponized them. Within hours of Langley's statement going public, Pan-African pages on TikTok, X, and Instagram turned it into a rally.
Ooh. These social media pages were on fire. And they started digging up all the traitors that they could dig up, all right, to come against our forward progress, our forward momentum. I even heard some of the FBAs that are out there, foundational Black Americans, having to backtrack on what they thought and what they kept saying about Africa. Africa dirty this and trifling that and blah, 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 blah. They don't like Black people in America, whatever. Pushing forward that negative narrative, being divisive. Come on, foundational Black Americans. Let's get in line with one another. All right, with our brothers and sisters in Africa, in the Caribbean islands, in Brazil, and in other places. Come on, man. Let's backtrack a little.
Within hours of Langley's statement going public, Pan-African pages on TikTok, X, and Instagram turned it into a rallying cry. Edits showed Traoré inspecting military drills, signing agriculture deals, and greeting village elders, all with captions like, "This is where the gold is going." Activists dug up reports of U.S. military spending in Africa, questioning how much of it benefited the continent. A side-by-side meme of Langley in a U.S. Senate chamber and Traoré in a cotton field became symbolic. The suited enforcer versus the soil-born son. Traoré never directly responded. He didn't need to. The silence itself became an act of dignity. And in contrast, Langley's voice grew increasingly shrill. Even after the backlash began, he doubled down, giving follow-up remarks that described the Sahel's realignment as geopolitically dangerous and hostile to democratic norms. Once again, the West's version of democracy was used as a measuring stick, despite widespread African frustration with the electoral systems and regimes it had long propped up. And here's where the narrative twisted. The more Langley criticized Traoré, the more Africa embraced him.
The more they criticize, the more he criticized, the more the people around the world rallied behind Ibrahim Traoré. Falsehood is not going to stand, brothers and sisters. You got to decide which side you're going to be on. You're not going to be able to play both sides of the fence, appeasing your white slave masters' children at the same time while they plan to murder us, and we're supposed to keep quiet and silent about it while traitors among us, people among us that we revered and honored and respected, going to work against us with your open enemy. Come on, stop playing, y'all. Stop playing. Y'all can't have it both ways. In the spirit of Fela, in the spirit of Bob Marley, in the spirit of the Mau Mau, in the spirit of everyone that ever raised their fist, in the spirit of everyone and anyone that even put a song together to speak to Africa's sovereignty. All right, anyone that ever spoke and uttered the word Black Power or revolution, that any of you that ever mentioned anything like that in any song that you've ever constructed, anyone that ever even uttered or thought or a morsel of a thought in reference to us being sovereign and being free, we take our hat off to you. All right, but we raise our fists against those that want to stop us from moving forward. It's not going to be pretty. All right, this is not going to be well packaged. This is going to get ugly. And some of y'all think that y'all going to get out of this without getting your hands dirty, your clothes dirty, your musical instruments dirty, or whatever. You're a fool. This is revolution. And if you plan on bringing about a mind revolution through music, in which Public Enemy did, all right, if you're in that vein, yeah, you better get a backup. You better get a backup instrument. This is revolution.
Strange reversal. Langley became the unwilling.
Let me say this. You revere Fela, but this is the vein in which Fela spoke. Fela went to prison. Bob Marley, all right, was under surveillance and poisoned. Everyone I could think of. And you think you're going to come along and everything's going to be fine, and you're not going to have to suffer some of the same things? Probably worse. And you don't even want to raise your fist or your voice or raise your instrument? Come on, stop playing with me.
Promoter of Traoré's myth. His criticism gave Traoré visibility beyond West Africa. He was no longer just a captain in fatigues. He was a living symbol of defiance against U.S. overreach. A man who dared to keep the gold in country, dared to cut ties with France, dared to refuse instruction from Washington. Langley's words were supposed to isolate him. They did the opposite. They clarified the sides. It's no coincidence that after those remarks, protests erupted in support of Traoré, not just in Burkina Faso, but across the continent. His image was spray-painted on walls in Kinshasa. His speeches were dubbed in Swahili and broadcast by independent bloggers in Tanzania.
Wow. Wow.
Burkina Faso, but across the continent.
Wow. Let me stop right there. You see the graffiti? Hip-hop in Africa. You see how they moving? That's hip-hop. That's the vibration and the spirit of hip-hop in Africa. The world has their fingers on the pulse of you, brothers and sisters, right here in America. So don't tell me we can't use hip-hop as a tool for revolution and liberation for our people around the globe, not only here in America, but throughout the world. No, we got to start checking these individuals that speak ill of our people and want to chop down young people across this globe and across the world, chopping them down at the knees with your lame-ass, sharp, old-ass tongue, criticizing young people and black people throughout the world because you work for the State Department. No, raise your fists and raise your voices. Thank you, Leon. The vast majority of our people are in line with Ibrahim Traoré. And if you're not, you need to reassess what you're doing with your life. It's critical. No, this is a serious time to be alive. Serious time to be alive right now. It's a serious time to be a musician. It's a serious time to have consciousness and be a musician. And then you can look back at the life of Bob Marley, Fela Kuti, and other other artists. At the time, James Brown said, "Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud." At the time, Gil Scott-Heron said, "What the revolution will not be televised." And look back at a time where the last poets, all right, gave us all of the words of revolution that they gave us. All right. The white man has a God complex. Come on, man. We have to look back at these artists and say, well, damn, if they did it then and they didn't have these gadgets at their disposal, who are we that we can't raise our voices and our instruments up, all right, to support Ibrahim Traoré and anyone that comes in that line, in that vein? If Tupac was alive today, most of y'all wouldn't get along with Tupac. If Fela came back, most of y'all wouldn't get along with Fela. Oh, but because you can side with and sit next under a tent with white folks that have grown dreadlocks now and sit back and hold hands with them and sing One Love, all right, while you sipping a fucking pina colada, that's fine with you. But when the real revolution hits, when it's really time to be black instead of acting black, most of y'all can't deal with these revolutionaries that come through the vein of black music. It's sad. A lot of y'all want to wear the t-shirt and the bumper sticker and sing the song while you on vacation after you stepping up the Carnival cruise in the Bahamas some damn where. But when it comes to real revolution, when it comes to really speaking up for our people, when it comes to really speaking up for our people and really being black, most of y'all won't wear Ibrahim Traoré t-shirt. Most of y'all, someone said something to me about what does that flag mean? I wish I had my headphones. In the back of my headphones, I got the red, black, and green flag. The flag Marcus Garvey gave us. The red, the black, and the green with the key. The red for the blood, black is for the people, and green is for the land. Marcus Garvey gave us that. But when someone seen it on the back of my headphones, had the nerve to stop me and ask me, what does the red, black, and green stand for? I said, oh, it's just some colors I like. I'm not obligated to give you a history lesson right there in line at Delta Airlines. Nah. Someone said it's a different time that we live in. Thank you. That's why we shouldn't make old ass statements in the new time that we live in. Any questions so far? Scan the QR code that is on the screen right now. If you want to support the platform, all right, join the membership, subscribe and join the membership so we can get the information out to you. All right. It's a beautiful thing to do that, to belong, to come together with other men, all right, that have something in common with you. All right. Make sure you're join Warriors in a Garden membership. All right. The soundtrack to Who Stole the Soul is on its way. Probably next week, fam. I got y'all. The soundtrack to my comic book, Who Stole the Soul, is on its way. You purchase the soundtrack, you get the comic book free, vice versa. It's a digital comic book now. Come on, fam. All right, if you want the physical copy, all right, go to my website, professorgriff.me. All right. My book, The Birth, is on its way. Let me shrink that down so y'all can see it. The Birth, beautiful, beautiful book that I'm putting together. I'm just doing a short commercial right now, fam. All right. And this next project right here, I'm very proud of. It's about to be released this week. All right. The EP that I put together. And I was kind of happy about this. I said to myself, wow. I hit up Soleil. I said, you know something? We have some work that we've done together that we should let the world hear. All right. Well, we put together an EP called Rebel Alchemy. All right. We're in the process of doing a song. Matter of fact, Soleil's daughter is putting the song together for us called Puppets. And y'all know what that's about based on this conversation today. All right. The EP, the Rebel Alchemy. These are songs that we've already put together that speaks to what's going on with not only this whole idea of rebelling against this mindset that's trying to steer us against our own people, but the whole idea of alchemy, taking base metal and turning it into gold. That base metal, that base iron that we're trying to turn, that lead that we're trying to turn into gold is you, the souls and the hearts and minds of you, our people. Shout out to Soleil. All right. Make sure y'all go on Bandcamp. All right. Give me 24 hours, fam, before y'all purchase it. All right. It's called Rebel Alchemy, the EP by Professor Griff and Soleil. All right. On Bandcamp. Professor Griff. Let me give it to y'all. It's Professor Griff. Bandcamp.com. All right. Me and Soleil will be performing together on stage along with my band, the Soul Om Collective. All right. The third, matter of fact, we're going to be at Tassili's this Saturday. If y'all in the Atlanta area, come show up, pull up. Tassili's Saturday, 4 o'clock. Come on through. The Soul Om is getting down at Tassili's this Saturday. And then the next Friday, we are at City Winery with my good sister, the Flowicist from the group Flowetry, along with Soleil. All right, so it's Soleil, the Flowicist, shout out to Maddox, the Soul Om, Rashida Ali, Ashia Karana, my man Jay Battle, Professor Griff, the Soul Om Collective at City Winery with the Flowicist and Soleil on stage together at the City Winery. Go get your tickets now. The City Winery, Friday the 13th. The Flowicist, Professor Griff presents the Soul Om Collective featuring Soleil. All right. Before then, y'all would have already had the Rebel Alchemy EP by Professor Griff and Soleil. And of course, the up-and-coming album, The Om of Soul or The Soul of Om by the Soul Om Collective. All right, family? Support the platform. Go do that right now. And those that want to support the platform right now, of course, y'all can do that. Ain't nothing wrong with you giving a donation, supporting the platform. All right, hold on. Let me get the banner. Where's my banner at? Kalanji, I don't know what you did with my banner. Those are folders. I don't want folders. I need the actual banner, but we'll talk about that in a minute. All right. All right. Support the platform, fam. Show up at the City Winery Friday the 13th. Show up this weekend, this Saturday at Tassili's. We getting down. We doing something very musical and something very revolutionary. All right. Keep in mind, I want to say this to my group, Soul Om Collective. The race is not to the swift. It's to that individual that can endure to the end. America is not the only place we're going to show up and show out. There's other places we need to go to and take our music and put it in a language that our brothers can understand on the continent of Africa and throughout the Black African diaspora. whether it's through my udu, my drum, whether it's through a flute, Rashida's flute, whether it's through Ashia Karana's voice or Jay's drumming. All right? Whether it's through whatever Soleil is bringing to the table in reference to dance, to healing, all right, to the alchemical formulas, all right, through the sacredness of what she does in reference to healing work with women in and outside of the country. All right. If it's through a poem that the flowist gives us, it's a beautiful thing. It's all a part of our artistry. Be that artist, man, that Fela dared us to be, that Bob Marley dared us to be. Shout out to Andre 3000. I had a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful conversation with that brother, most of which is between him and I. I'll probably share with my wife and a few close friends, but other than that, no. That brother dropped something on me that helped free me. All right. And made me to know, let me just push this thing forward musically. All right. All right. Any questions, any statements, fam? All right. It's Professor Griff. I got to get out of here. I love y'all to life, man. Peace, peace, peace.